From ChasingIssues.com, this is The Daily Chase, your source for trending headlines and topics not always found in the mainstream media. In today's episode, we'll discuss racism in Chicago and alleged examples of Donald Trump being racist.
Boy, Donald Trump, white people, boy.
No. Goof.
Yeah,
My sister, look at what y'all do.
nigga, thinking it's slight.
Oh, my sister said this not funny, y'all.
It's funny to me.
So you got a couple little racy words going in there, huh, Greg?
Oh, that's to say the least.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I'll tell you, people never cease to amaze me.
Oh, happy 2017, by the way.
Yes, happy 2017. January 20th can't get here fast enough.
Glad to get rid of that other year.
Yeah. So what's going on in this video? This guy's being tortured?
Well, it was uploaded to Facebook Live yesterday by a user named Brittany Herring, an African-American woman who appears in the clip. That was, the video was actually 30 minutes long, showing a young man tied up in a corner with blood coming from his head. His mouth is gagged, the thugs humiliated and abused him. He was repeatedly kicked and hit while forced to denounce white people and Donald Trump. As you heard, F Donald Trump, F white people. Did you hear that?
I did. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they make him also drink water out of the toilet?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely disgusting. Just shameful.
These people are just despicable.
And that's Chicago police telling Fox 32 that 4 people are in custody and authorities are conducting a further investigation. So the young man we saw in the clip, who has special needs, is now in a hospital and is being treated for his injuries.
Now, they did announce this afternoon or early this evening that they are going to charge the 4 with a hate crime. So that's kudos to them. We've been saying for a long time that what goes around comes around, and it has nothing to do with who is in power. It's whether or not you treat someone of another race differently than you would of your own. But regardless of whether or not, if they'd have done this to a black person, this is still extremely despicable. This is not the way you treat another human being in any way, shape, or form, but especially someone with special needs. This is just unbelievably inhumane.
Yeah, it's heartless for sure.
I hope they throw the book at them and they see very little of the light of the day for a long time.
So this was a 3400 block of West Lexington on Chicago's west side.
Correct.
Anti-Trump hatred that's accelerated after the election. It's now completely ridiculous. I mean, this is out of control.
Yeah. And the rhetoric on her page was, I don't know if this lady even graduated high school. It's pretty bad. Grammar and just slang, and then the comments and the confusion and chaos it seems that she had going on in her life way before she even posted this. Maybe she'll get some help in prison.
Well, I mean,
that sounds like a pretty safe place for her, right?
Her safe space.
She didn't have to listen to Trump or anybody else for a long time.
Actually, that's not a very safe place to be. Oops. How did I get here?
It's probably going to be safer there than it will be on the streets after this video. Her name, address, and everything is out there now, so I'm sure there's a brick with her name on it somewhere.
I mean, will the media even cover this? Will the mainstream media bring it out? CNN?
In my mind, it's evil, period, plain and simple. But in the mind of CNN host Don Lemon, it's not evil. It's just misbehaving kids. Oh, I think they're all adults, and that's not misbehaving in my book.
Misbehaving. Do we even like that word in today's, society? Misbehaving?
No.
That's not harsh enough.
Well, to some cases, everything's misbehaving to some people. It's, you could walk on the street and kill somebody. Oh, he's just misbehaving, and the liberals let him go, Heaven forbid you enforce any laws or do anything about, their criminal action, so.
So Trump's almost here. He's almost going to be our president. And my liberal friends, I'm having a really hard time. I'm starting to stop talking about it because, at first, hey, let's discuss it. Now I'm just like, let's not. I can't. I'm tired of getting beat up.
I
He's
completely
this,
understand.
he's that. He's a awful human being.
I would say I get a lot of that on Facebook, but they've pretty much weeded themselves out over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows exactly how Trump is, right? They all know. They know him personally, and they've been taking notes.
If they don't, they see it on Twitter every morning, which has been glorious, I have to say. It's been pretty fun. It's nice to see that someone can upend the media by going around them straight to the people. And vice versa. The people speak directly to him on Twitter. He reads and watches the TV shows when people discuss him. He's getting feedback and direction from the American people themselves through social media. So it's a great time to be alive.
I don't even mind it. His little Twitter feed.
I love his Twitter feed.
I don't really care. It's no big deal to me.
It's a little additional insight into someone. So I welcome it.
Yep. So we were going to go off the Huffington Post article they wrote. They wanted to put out 13 racial characteristics of Trump. Him showing his racial. I like to call it alleged, because this is kind of all about what you think. And we know that Donald doesn't have a filter. There's no filter there. I mean, he acts like he's in the barbecue backyard every time he speaks. I mean, can we get used to it?
Well, I'd kind of like to get used to it. I find it refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, at least someone's telling the truth.
I've been known to speak my mind for years, so I like it.
Yes, you have. And we love that.
I do. I value that quite a bit, so it's refreshing.
All right, so here we go, man. One of the things I said was when he attacked the Muslim Gold Star parents, it was Khizr Khan, if I'm saying that right, spoke about the heroism of his son, that army captain, Humayun S.M. Khan, who was killed in action in Iraq by an advancing vehicle loaded with hundreds of pounds of explosive. Trump appeared to try to brush the speech aside, saying that Khizr Khan was, very emotional and probably looked like a nice guy to me. He's just trying to make a little bit light of the whole thing and doesn't really think that it's that big a deal, because he doesn't think most things are that big a deal, and everyone else wants to hype it up if they're against him.
Sure. And, I watched the speech when this Gold Star family came out. The mother looked terrified. The father mostly spoke, and he held a Constitution, copy, a little pocket Constitution with him. And, I don't know the people, so I really don't want to put any kind of judgment on them. I do feel for them since they lost their son, and it is heroic that he was in the military. I just question, they're there to support Hillary when they gave their speech at the DNC, so that right there is a lapse of judgment in my book, but I'm not going to attack him personally. So
I think Donald knows that they're always against him, and he's expecting it at every turn.
Probably.
So, also, he claimed a judge was biased. Remember, he's a Mexican. Trump implied that Gonzalo Curiel, the federal judge presiding over class action against the for-profit Trump University, could not fairly hear the case because of his Mexican heritage.
Well, the thing that they leave out, the guy was born and raised in Indiana, but the thing that they're leaving out, and every other mainstream media seems to leave out, is that this judge is a supporter of La Raza. And La Raza, for those that aren't familiar with that group, they're pushing to return California, Arizona, New Mexico back to Mexico, and they're all about the Mexican race, and that's what the La Raza means. It's Spanish for the race. And it's all about, people brush off and say it's all about Mexican American pride, but it has no. You go read some of their propaganda. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about getting theirs and returned back to them in their mind. So they're worse than BLM, except for they're not out protesting, burning stuff in the streets and setting buildings on fire.
Well, maybe they are BLM.
They're connected to them. I mean, they're a supporter. All these racial groups support each other in one way or the other.
I mean, it could be Brown Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Jeez, let's just get along, But Trump said we're building a wall between here and Mexico. The answer is he's given us very unfair rulings that people can't even believe.
I love his phraseology.
I know. Everything's huge, and you believe me. I believe him. I think he's going to do great.
I have to admit, as much as I like Trump, I really miss the articulate Trump for the 80s and 90s. Where'd he go?
I don't know, man.
He
where
needs to come
did
back.
Donald go?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should ask him someday. Where'd you go, man? What happened? So another thing was the Justice Department sued his company twice for not renting to black people, what they said. When he was serving as the president of his family's real estate company, the Trump Management Corporation, in 1973, the Justice Department sued the company for alleged racial discrimination against black people looking to rent apartments in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. He didn't admit wrongdoing. The Trump Management Corporation settled the original lawsuit 2 years later and promised not to discriminate against black people, Puerto Ricans, or other minorities. I say that's called settling to end the court case and get on with business.
Yeah.
I say that's what it was.
It's cheaper just to settle and move on than it is to try and drag it out.
Yeah, he's like, let's just shut this thing down.
There are so many companies that settle and admit no fault just to get it, moved on. And who's to say that somebody didn't set this up to begin with? I don't know the details in the conversation. I've read a little bit about it in the past, but it's been quite a while ago, and who knows? This is 1973.
Yeah.
It's 43 years ago. Come on.
Just like he settled on the Trump University claims, too. You just want to get those out of the way.
Yeah.
And I kind of think of Trump University as an extra added bonus to your education. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, that shouldn't be your primary source of education.
Yeah.
I mean, it was specifically tailored around real estate, so you need to go get an accredited college or university degree in business or finance or whatever it is that you want to get, and then pick up some additional courses at university, Trump University. But
it's like going to 7 Habits or something like that. Stephen Covey, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So the second part to that was the New Jersey Casino Control Commission fined the Trump Plaza Hotel Casino $200,000 in 1992 because managers would remove African-American card dealers at the request of a certain big spending gambler. The state appeals court upheld the fine. Trump has also faced charges of reneging on commitments to hire black people. In 96, 20 African-Americans in Indiana sued Trump for failing to honor a promise to hire mostly minority workers for a riverboat casino on Lake Michigan. I say more quota mentality and no regard for resumes.
That's right. Yeah, where's the competence? Hiring the most competent person for the job.
So here they are kowtowing to some rich person that's there that wants a certain way. They kind of try and help them a little bit, but this is alleged stuff, and it's all about the pandering once again. So, I mean, I don't know about that,
sure. And then I see he refused to condemn the white supremacists who were campaigning for him. A leader of the Virginia KKK who is backing Trump told a local TV reporter that the reason a lot of Klan members like Trump is because a lot of them believe what he believes and we believe in it. So if someone's going to get KKK members votes, shouldn't it be Hillary? I mean, she is the Democrat running, right? Isn't that the traditional party of the KKK? I mean, look at, what was his name? Byrd. He was a mentor to Hillary. That guy was a grand wizard in the KKK. I guess everybody forgets this.
Yeah, I mean, but another question is when it comes to votes, someone's going to get those votes.
Yeah.
That
doesn't mean he endorses it or he likes it. It just means he wants votes, period. And that's the job that you're trying to do.
You're going to give them to Hillary and then maybe you might lose? That's not also smart. I mean,
and then, of course, here comes your favorite, that he questions whether or not President Obama was born in the United States.
Oh, my goodness.
Long before calling Mexican immigrants criminals and rapists, Trump was a leading proponent of the birtherism, which was the racist conspiracy theory that President Obama was not born in the United States and is thus an illegitimate president. Okay. I think Sheriff Arpaio has just given a couple months ago a news conference that showed that the produced birth certificate for President Obama was a copy and paste job, and they actually found the original that of some woman who they lifted all the information from and just pasted it in and changed his information to it. So where is his original birth certificate? If he doesn't have one, then what proof does he have? And he's still illegitimate. At this point, it doesn't matter. He's out of the office. So see you later, sayonara.
And, I was just so sick and tired of hearing him complain and talk about it. I just let it go after a while. I was just sick of it. Big deal. They're not gonna No one's going to accept it. Let it go. He's there. He's not going anywhere.
Well, the problem is it's stated within the Constitution that you have to be a natural-born citizen, but there's no enforcement body to enforce that person is. And you know, the number one rule to writing any regulations or laws or anything like that is you have to have, one, the law or the regulation, and two, you have to have an enforcement body.
So another claim is that Trump treats all racial groups as monoliths, meaning all the same. You know, no one's special. Everyone's just, you know, a nobody. You know, like a lot of racial instigators, Trump often answers accusations of bigotry by loudly protesting that he actually loves the group in question. Virtually every time Trump mentions a minority group, he uses the definite article "the," as in the Hispanics, the Muslim, and the blacks. You know, that's how I bring up stuff all the time. I don't, the whites, I'll even say that. I don't care. I'm not super sensitive about this. And I mean, I understand they keep on saying African American. Blacks to me doesn't mean bad things. I guess it does to everyone else. I like everybody.
Yeah, people are people. I don't know.
Like everybody.
I mean, maybe we should ask them, how do you prefer to be referred to? I mean, maybe it's to that point. It's just like you have to ask, what gender do you prefer to be called? What race do you prefer to be called? Oh, okay.
Underneath the skin, is there some different amount of chromosomes under there? Last I checked, we're all the same.
Maybe instead of cisgender, there's going to be cisracial. This is a crazy world we live in. Whatever.
It is. It's nuts. I mean, I like to talk to people first, then make my judgment call.
Yeah, you know? let's judge them by their character.
So they say he also trashed Native Americans too. So in '93, when Trump wanted to open a casino in Bridgeport, Connecticut, that would compete with one owned by the Mashantucket Pequot Nation, the local Native American tribe, he told the House Subcommittee on Native American Affairs that they don't look like Indians to me. They don't look like Indians to Indians.
Oh, these Trumpisms.
There again, the lack of a filter that's just not that big a deal. He's funny.
Yeah.
This guy's funny.
He also encouraged mob justice that resulted in the wrongful imprisonment of the Central Park Five. In 1989, Trump took out a full-page ad in 4 New York City area newspapers calling for the return of the death penalty in New York and the expansion of police authority in response to the infamous case of a woman who was beaten and raped while jogging in Manhattan Central Park. Quote, "They should be forced to suffer, and when they kill, they should be executed for their crimes," end quote. Trump wrote, referring to the Central Park attackers and other violent criminals. Once again, quote, "I want to hate these murderers, and I always will," end quote. Well, I mean,
that's an opinion.
It's an opinion, and you're right. And I mean, I don't want to coddle criminals in any way, shape, or form. I would, if it was up to me, I'd throw them in prison and they'd never see the light of day, period. I'm not a fan of, I'm pretty harsh when it comes to criminality, so.
And it goes state by state. So regardless of what you want, they're either going to go to prison forever, they're going to get the death penalty. It's state by state. The citizens are going to vote depending on their, it's the law. Let's let the law do the law.
Correct. Correct. Let them be judged.
And so I don't think Donald is mob justice whatsoever. You bring him to the side and talk to him and say, "Do you really believe that?" I'm going to let the law do what they do. I'm going to let him go to court.
Yep.
He's going to have his day in court. He believes in the Constitution. He said that.
He condoned the beating of a Black Lives Matter protester at a November campaign rally in Alabama. Trump supporters physically attacked an African-American protester after the man began chanting "Black Lives Matter." Video of the incident shows the assailants kicking the man after he's already fallen to the ground. The following day, Trump implied that the attackers were justified. Quote, "Maybe the protester should have been roughed up," he mused. It was absolutely disgusting what he was doing, referring to the protester. So, yeah, I disagree with that. I really wish he wouldn't have made that statement. I think that's really unfortunate and showed a lack of judgment, I think. That's my feeling. I would never, ever instigate violence upon someone. If, there's security there to take care of it, let them take care of it.
But, at the same time, he understands that people are going to be people, and sometimes things are going to happen. But even then, the law is going to come in, and that person who actually struck first, they're going to be liable for their actions.
That's true. And I think his biggest defenders when it comes to this particular matter was the fact that it's a private event. Most of these rallies, they're private. They're for Trump supporters. They're not for protesters. You're trespassing, and it's beatdown time. But
he's kind of sick of them imposing on what he's trying to, his freedom. Yeah. I mean, it's his right too.
Yep.
So another thing they claim is that he called supporters who beat up a homeless Latino man passionate. The two brothers were arrested in Boston last summer for beating up a homeless Latino man. Cited Trump's anti-immigrant message when explaining why they did it. Donald Trump was right. All these illegals need to be deported. One of the men reportedly told police officers. Trump did not even bother to distance himself from them. Instead, he suggested that the men were well-intentioned and had simply gotten carried away. Well, there's that realism that he's always coming out with, that they simply got carried away.
Yeah, that almost sounds like a liberal there. They're passionate. They got carried away.
Right.
Until you pulled this article, I had never even heard of this one. So, I don't know where the mainstream media was during all this, but...
In the Marine Corps, I'd take out the 6-ounce gloves. Hey, you two corporals can't handle this anymore. You want to go back with the 6-ounce gloves? Don't get carried away.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you can't do this? Wall check.
I'm kidding, but So, so then they said he stereotyped Jews and shared an anti-Semitic meme created by white supremacists. And didn't his family members marry into the Jewish?
That's right. Ivanka's married to a Jewish man. She converted to Judaism, so I don't think nor believe that he's anti-Semitic in any way, shape, or form. In fact, he's come out swinging against Obama and anybody else that doesn't stand with Israel. So there you go.
And he addressed the Republican Jewish coalition in December. He tried to relate to the crowd by invoking the stereotype of Jews as talented and cunning business people.
Wow.
He said, "I'm a negotiator like you folks." Trump told the crowd, touting his book, The Art of the Deal, which he does quite often.
Yep.
And what's the big deal? It's like, wow, okay, I'll say this. Hey, Greg, did you know that the Israelis make really good weaponry?
And a lot of other things.
They're great engineers. Uh-oh, I'm a racist.
It's amazing. Well, I tell you what, have you ever seen any photos of Israel before the Jews settled there back right after World War II? It's all nothing but desert. Now look at it.
Oh,
it's beautiful. There's grass and there's trees and there's magnificent buildings, and it's a whole nother world. They've done something right, so hey.
Oh man, hats off. And they live in that crazy area all by themselves.
And they got to defend themselves.
Yeah.
He treats African American supporters as tokens to dispel the idea that he is racist. I love this one. All right, so at a campaign appearance in California in June, Trump boasted he has a black supporter in the crowd saying, "Look at my African American over there." End quote. I laugh. It's funny. I remember him saying that, and that's really not the way that it was intended. This is taken out of context, but his whole point and reason for saying that was because of the time that it's been, everybody's saying he's racist and doing all this other stuff. So he wanted to kind of go out of the way. He should have just went on with it. It's kind of one of those things where if you have to point out you got a black friend, and you're kind of going out of your way. But I think over the last few years it's kind of been that way. People are so hypercritical towards white people that you're not diverse enough or don't have enough diverse friendships, and the next thing you know, we're put on our heels, and so we have to kind of go out of our way to say, wait a minute, I've got friends that are black. It shouldn't have to be stated, but it's kind of to the point where they've made us have to come out and state it. Then they call us racist for stating it. So
I think they want us to join that family of those feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. I understand.
And it's whatever. I mean, we're all under the microscope.
If it'll help everybody heal, I was thinking about that today. If it will help everybody heal, we're all special people. Let's just move forward.
And just like always, these points, you can always spin them one way or the other, because the liberals always like to say that Trump is a serial liar, a rampant xenophobe, a racist. misogynist, birther, bully, who's repeatedly pledged to ban all Muslims, all 1.6 billion members of an entire religion, from entering the U.S. What do you think about that?
Well, it's pretty interesting. I don't think that he's any of those things. However, I do agree that we should. We don't necessarily have to ban all Muslims, but we definitely have to vet them. And at that point, it's kind of like you have to put your finger in the crack at the dam, and then, let's fix it and slowly let the water through. So,
yeah.
But that's the same way I feel about immigration in general, period. Let's be selective as to who we allow to immigrate here. Let's not just let the dam open wide open. We won't have a country after a while.
Well, if somebody were to say that somebody of my race is bad and there's a couple of them around the neighborhood, I'd be like, where? Let me go investigate. Let me get them for you. I'm going to call the cops on them too. That's a bunch of hyperbole.
And that's what that needs to happen. So, all right. Well, that's been a great episode. If you like our program, please just check us out for more stories at chasingissues.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or simply share us the next time you have a conversation. Rob, have a wonderful night.
You too. We'll see you next time.
All right.